Welcome to And the Writer Is. I am your host, Ross Golan. Today's indie superhero is a musical force whose career defies the traditional rules of the industry. With his pen, production, and passion, he's crafted his own lane in a space where independence and artistry often clash. Known for his unapologetic approach to creative control, he's built a legacy as an all-in rapper, producer, and songwriter. From the early days of releasing free music on SoundCloud to dropping platinum albums, he's championing for artist rights everywhere. And the writer is Russ.
Wow. What an intro. Thank you.
I would say that if my name is mistaken for any other, it's Russ.
Yeah, I get Ross as well. Yeah.
It's a weird thing because it's hard to explain to people because Russ and Ross probably are about, I don't know, you probably met as many Russes as Rosses in your life,
I've
right?
never met another Ross now that I think about it.
Oh, that's cool. So but you probably haven't met that many Russes either, right?
No.
It's not like a super common name.
I feel like maybe there was one kid I went to high school with.
Yeah.
I think. He had red hair.
You're
You're supposed to have red hair if your name is Russell. You know?
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where it's a loud place and it's like, what's your name? It's Russ.
Ross?
Ross? Yeah.
I always get Ross.
Yeah.
Ross?
Yeah.
No. Russ with a U.
Yeah.
Ross?
Yeah.
I forget it.
Well, my in-laws call me Rusty because they thought that my name was Russ for a minute before they met me.
Yeah. Just walk around with a name tag.
Yeah. So, like literally, my brother-in-law calls me Rusty still. And nice. I've been married for like over 10 years.
Yeah. That's good. That one's it's just going to stick at this point.
So you were born.
I was born.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so you're a Jersey kid.
We moved when I was a baby.
Yeah, you lived in it everywhere.
It's so funny.
Why did you move everywhere?
So my dad's job, he was just chasing jobs. But I was born in New Jersey. My dad's from New Jersey. My mom's from New York. But we moved when I was a baby. And what's so funny is like to this day, even yesterday, like I tweeted like the Pacers are going to beat the Thunder in the finals, which means that they would beat the Knicks. And somebody's like, you're from Jersey. How could you? I'm like, y'all just are not going to let this one go.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to claim me as being from New Jersey. Doesn't matter if we moved like when I was 2 months old.
But do you think that like, does North Carolina, does Kentucky, like who has the right?
I think Atlanta gets it just because I've lived there for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And I did like, we moved there when I was 12, which I think is like really important years, 12 and beyond, going into high school, So
what jobs, when you say your dad chased jobs, what did he do?
So he's working at a bank, then he was working at advertising company, then he tried to start his own thing. But he didn't go to college, so leaving New Jersey just chasing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kentucky
was a random one. I don't know why we were there. We were there for a year.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah. I impaled myself with a sparkler, like July 4th sparkler when I was like 8 or 7, running down the like hill that we lived on. And I remember just tripping and falling and
That seems very painful.
Yeah. But that was a wild, strange time.
Why?
It was like a new development. So there was like a bunch of unbuilt houses, where it's just like the construction of it happening. And I'm like 6 years old and there's older kids in the neighborhood and there's not shit to do. So I was like tagging along, like breaking into those houses. And I don't know what they were doing. I was 6 years old, 7 years old. And I remember just like riding in the back of a cop car back then and them dropping me off at my parents' house. I think it was like some scare tactic. I don't know. I got to ask like my parents if they were in on that.
Were you a bad kid?
Nah, I wasn't a bad kid. No, I wouldn't say that. Yeah.
So you guys moved to Atlanta when you're 12.
Yeah.
The culture in Atlanta when you were 12 is like prime for music. That's like a hot spot at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we lived like north of the city, like 20 minutes. So, but I was there when all the like snap music took off. So like there was a new crazy dance that everyone was doing at the pep rallies. Like I remember being in high school and Soulja Boy coming and performing at the pep rally when he had Crank That, and like everyone like fled the bleachers, and the teachers are on the basketball court doing the Crank That. It was like crazy. He was like 16, telling everyone "fuck school," like in high school at the pep rally.
We were driving up. I have a 3.5-year-old and a almost 1.5-year-old. We're driving up to somewhere this weekend, and we're listening to, 2000s hits and 2010s hits. We kind of go through like all those different decade things. And I'm in the car, and my kid's in the back, and I'm going like, Superman that hoe, and just like, this feels like really wrong if we're doing that. But I don't know. It kind of sounds like a superhero. Like, I don't know. I don't have to explain it yet.
Yeah.
Or ever, I hope.
Yeah. Let them discover it.
What kind of music did you listen to in the house?
So in the house, my parents would play like shit from the 70s, like Kansas. ABBA.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, like
that's not what I thought you were gonna say.
What'd you think?
I don't know. I mean, your stuff has a lot of soulful aspects to it. So, like, I guess my assumption was not, Kansas is the least. I shouldn't say soulful because it is soulful in its own way, but it's the.
But I grew up on those like 70s rock ballads, like Journey, Kansas. But my dad was also playing like Mamas and Papas, like all the leaves around.
You want to know something crazy?
Huh?
That the house that they lived in is like a mile from here.
No shit.
Even, like this whole area is filled with that. Yeah, but that's an aside. Anyway, so you go and
but they would do these like dance party nights where they would just play music and my mom and dad would dance around, and it was Bee Gees, it was Earth, Wind and Fire, it was Mamas and Papas, it was, my dad was playing Bruce Springsteen, and I don't know, it was just everything.
Is anyone playing music?
No, my dad was like really musically inclined though.
How do you know that?
His rhythm in his ear was like he could sing, and he would harmonize when like he was that dad where like the song's playing and he's doing perfect harmonies. Like what?
Yeah.
And like the steering wheel is the craziest drum kit ever, and he's nailing the solos like on Hotel California.
He's still doing it, right?
Oh yeah. But he was just really musically inclined. His dad played guitar, banjo, mandolin. So it just like skipped him and went to me.
When did it start for you?
13. Yeah.
With what?
So, man, I'm trying to think of the year. 13, it was like 2005, something like that. 04. And just kind of when like, I don't know, Ultimate Guitar Tabs was like huge. And I just wanted to play guitar. And so my grandfather bought me a guitar. He taught me like the first couple chords, D major and A and G and whatever. And that was my like introduction to music, was playing the guitar and learning how to play, Good Riddance by Green Day and fucking Smoke on the Water.
Did you try writing songs on a guitar first?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like melodramatic campfire songs.
Like what? What was the first song?
God, I wish this is the thing. Like technology back then, there was no like recording.
Yeah, but if you're the guy who can go on radio stations and freestyle, you're probably the guy who can recall a song that they wrote.
No, you know what? I've never thought about this till now. I think it was like me and my best friend at the time who played guitar as well and like keyboard and drums. And I think we would just hang out and try to write bullshit. But it wasn't like let's sit and write a song. We were like 14, just like bullshitting. There was no structure. There was no anything.
When did you write something where it started to sound like a song that you'd recognize?
Oh, wow. 19. 20.
Oh, so you had years there.
Oh, yeah. So like I started to play the guitar. Then that led to me fucking around with like keys. Then I got an electric drum set and was doing that.
You would just do covers or just learn other people's music?
Learn other people's music. Yeah, like my brother would play like the guitar for Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, and I would do the drums because they're so easy. And it was just, that's what we would do. And then it led to me making beats. So then I was making beats, and there was rappers at school that would come over and record. And I was just the kid making beats on GarageBand.
What rappers did you like most from your high school?
Ooh, when I was in high school, Damn,
Like,
these are such good because I've never had these questions. It's awesome. Let me think. Back then, 05, 06, like 06 to 2010, it was Wayne. Wayne was fucking, he was the man. Like 06, 07 is when he dropped like 70 songs like in a year and was just jumping on everyone's shit.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wiz Khalifa blew up right around that time. Kanye, Drake, like towards the end of high school, like 09. J. Cole, Kendrick, same, was all like the end of high school. But early on in high school, I was really listening to like singer-songwriter stuff, like a Fine Frenzy and Brett Dennen and fucking.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Brett's a super nice guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I've only ever heard Ain't No Reason, but it's one of my favorite songs ever.
He's also a redhead, just going back.
He is.
That's called a callback.
Yeah.
We'll get into more.
But I was just
later.
obsessed. I was always obsessed with like acoustic stuff.
Did you? I mean, it's so interesting to be like, this is one of the things that your skill set as a creator and what you're digesting as a listener aren't always the same thing.
No.
And I think the assumption is that you listen to all the music that clearly inspires this, and it's like no. You listen to all of it. You just, when you sit down, that's who you are.
Yeah.
You know?
I think some of those like pop punk soft rock melodies come out in the music though sometimes.
Yeah.
I think like some of the melodies I do like don't like they don't come from a R&B background. So I think sometimes with my music, like this is me speculating, but I feel like it's hard to place it for like rap editors at DSPs and shit because the melodies are like from 2006 soft rock, pop punk, Thriving Ivory, A Day to Remember, like emo melodies. You know what I mean? To a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually one of the questions that I was going to ask later when we get into it, because there's the choices of samples of melodies that you're doing. Like it's clearly not, it's not the same as everyone else in any specific genre. And it feels like it's like from different places. So like when you're making beats, starting with that, are you making beats that sound anything like the Russ we know, or is
back then
it
was
trying to make like what did it sound? What did your beat sound like when you started?
Oh man, it was all synth heavy because you got to remember, right? Like 06, 07 was like when synths were running shit.
Yeah,
like all the Jim Johnson production, Love in This Club by Usher, like all that kind of just really just like synth leads were cool. You know, so all my shit back then was like really heavily just bad stock sounds of synths. Just like, yeah.
Until you realize, you know, I posted a thing about drum programmers, which we can get into.
I saw that. How's that going? How's the blowback on that going?
Yeah. We'll get into that. And oh man. No, it's I don't even remember where I was going once you said the blowback thing. That really took me to a place I was at in my head all weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just jump to that for a second. Like I basically posted that drum programmers, it was a clip from John Bellion's interview where I said, you know, if drum programmers want to come for my publishing, I'm going to come for your production. Is the gist of it, you know? I think the idea is that I'm referring primarily to people who add drums after the song is written and not the people who are in the room creating the beat.
Yeah.
What
do you feel they should get like a work for hire fee?
I just think that production is production and songwriting is songwriting. Yeah. And if, you know, in a technical sense, songwriting is lyric and melody. That's the legal ruling. You can have lots of different chords underneath. You can have lots of different drum beats. You may have one that's really good that makes it a hit. Yeah. But that's not songwriting. That is, by definition, production. Yeah. And a lot of people who produce on songs after the song is written then come and say, well, this is essential to the songwriting. And a songwriter's like, nope. That's essential to the production. Yeah. If you want our songwriting, then we want your production. Ooh. Or don't come for ours. Shit, we're not going to come for yours.
Yeah.
And so there's this like, when I posted that, I thought it was going to be, the Nashville people are like, amen.
Of course.
Louder.
Yeah.
And the Atlanta people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? and like this is my thought process with it was when you have somebody talking about stock synths.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wrote as a comment, I don't always read comments, but this thread I read comments. But somebody posted, well, what would Umbrella be without the drum beat? Well, that drum beat is a stock sample,
Loop, yeah.
a stock loop
Yeah.
in Logic.
Yeah.
So what it would be is a song without a stock loop from Logic. Like,
yeah.
Using that in the creation of the beat, if the beat's created first, which it was with that song in particular, those producers are songwriters because they're part of the process of the creation of the song.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And there's definitely validity to that. But then you know what I'm of the mind of is the song is the lyrics and the music. Simple, right? Who wrote the lyrics? Who wrote the music? And I think the drums are part of the music. So for me, like when I'm doing publishing splits, it's like, who wrote the lyrics and the melody? A lot of flies. I showered? Yeah, I showered. I'm kidding.
It's just a day.
Yeah. Who wrote the lyrics? Who wrote the melody? Who did the music? Who did the drums? So lyrics and melody, 50%. That's half. And then music and drums is 50%. So for me, for example, if I was to chop up a sample and then somebody else did all the drums, I'm splitting that 25-25. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that.
And then if I wrote the lyrics and the melody and all that person did was the drums, I'm getting 75 pub. They're getting 25. Because I broke the song into 4 things: lyrics, melody, music, drums. That's how I break it down.
Does it depend on when the things are done?
No, because for me, the song gets heard all at the same time. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It goes out and it gets perceived also, whether or not you did it 2 weeks after I laid my shit down or whatever. It's like the song is the song.
Would the lyrics or melody writers be entitled to the production?
No.
Why?
Because they didn't do anything with the production.
But isn't the sound of a word or the sound of a melody as valid as the sound of a drum?
Yeah, but you're going to get compensated for that.
But the drums are getting compensated. Well, okay, so
you're trying to basically weigh the importance of each and saying the lyrics and melody are more important.
No. I'm saying that if somebody's coming onto a song, and they're gonna play drums and they're gonna ask for say 25% of the publishing,
sure,
I would say no, that's not.
I would say no,
that's not songwriting.
Yeah,
like that in its definition is not songwriting.
No,
but if we're going to be egalitarian and say, okay, we're all going to partake in the publishing because the drums are important. The song's never been released before. The drums make people move.
And they wrote the drum part.
And you wrote the drum part. That's fine. Okay, so you want to get on my publishing. I'm now going to take the equal percentage of your production. I'm going to take the fee and the points because the drums are not part of songwriting. But in our world that we're going to create, where we're going to allow you to be part of this, I'm going to be part of that because lyrics and melodies are not part of production.
Sure.
Just like drums are not part of songwriting in a legal sense. And as somebody who's often writing the song, where the drum beat may change one way or the other. Yeah. But the song is usually pretty clear by the time it goes out to somebody.
Yeah. But the drums can really shift the whole fucking everything.
So a lot of people posted it was like, yeah, but imagine these songs without the drums. And I was like, imagine these songs without the melody or lyrics. Then they're just drums. Like I see people, I know that there's, instrumental music that becomes hits, but It's a small percentage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you're talking about like probably 0.01% of songs,
Right.
like maybe like Harlem Shake or some shit.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty. There are very few songs that are smashes without any real like lyric melody, you know. And if it's just not going to be a thing, so like I feel like I'm more likely going to. I just would end up saying. You want some of the songwriting?
Now, when you say taking part of their production, what do you mean? Instead of them getting 4 points, they're going to get 2 and you're going to get 2?
I'm just saying, like, if we're going to split everything, let's split everything. Or let's not. But I don't know why all of a sudden my rights as a rights holder, as a songwriter, is now automatically given to people who aren't technically entitled to it.
Yeah, because you're using the technical definition, which is fair.
And I also work in, like, 10 different genres.
Yeah.
So one genre specifically really credits music most. And which in many ways, if you look at Motown, like how what was it, James Jameson, isn't that the bassist? Like how does like do how does that not get
25%
some publishing?
Yeah.
I'm not unaware of the contribution of melodies within a song. However, they weren't credited because they're not songwriters.
Fair.
So in a world where now we've moved towards like, okay, we're going to say 50% is music.
Yeah.
If we're going to say that.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say that's cool. And also in that world, I'm going to say 50% of the production is the song. Or we're going to go and say, I'm the songwriter. You're you guys are the producers.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is where you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
Like, this is where, like, why I'm asking you in particular. You're an advocate for the music business and for songwriters and artists.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. You're posting things that are advocate-ish.
Yeah.
So deal with it, bro. You posted it. I reposted it. I didn't, like, it's not... I didn't post, it didn't work the other way. And like,
correct.
And you're going through like, so you have the ability to write and produce 100% song. And so do I. So we're in a unique place where we get to often dictate how we're going to treat the collaborators.
Yeah.
That's super unique.
Yeah.
So it's like how you're doing it is
I just, you know what it is? I genuinely want to make everyone feel like they're being valued. And I'm not trying to squeeze anyone. Not saying you are, but I'm not trying to squeeze anyone. So for me, it's just easier to be like, okay, if I did lyrics and melody, and I chopped the sample and you did the drums, here's 25, I'm getting 75, sign off on it, see ya. It's just easy, instead of like trying to go back and forth, we're like, well, really, you should be 19.85%. And it's like, you know what, bro? I don't give a shit enough. You know what I mean? Like for me, I have so much fucking music out. And here's the other, like, here's the finesse that's happening in the music business. Everyone is so fucking concerned with publishing. Because everyone thinks that that's where the money's at. Wrong. The money's on the master side. You don't make that much money on publishing unless that shit goes dumb at radio, gets crazy syncs. The master is where so you get a bunch of people fighting over a pub. It's like, dog, that's not even where the money is. The money's on the master side. Like, that's where the money is. Straight up. That's where the bulk of the money is.
The bulk of the money is absolutely on the master side, and most people share the master side with a record label that's not themselves. Right. So they don't often see the real value the way that you're seeing it. That's why I don't give a
shit about the publishing like that. Like, I always tell sample holders, bro, take 100% of the pub. I just want to put the song out. I know I'm making millions on the master side. Take the pub. Don't give a fuck. Like, I just want to put it out.
This is why most professional songwriters are still aiming for radio while it exists.
Exactly.
And the licensing and all the other stuff that comes to it. The licensing world is 50-50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the licensing world is going to be, it's its own beast.
Yeah.
But I think like in the other thought with it, and a lot of your music isn't being covered by other people.
Yeah.
It is sometimes on TikTok and on other
Sure.
things, but like a valuable copyright can, when RAAA says your album's platinum,
Mm-hmm.
the idea for songwriters that, well, we've had, it's that recording that's qualified as platinum. The song has been that recording plus all the covers.
Yeah.
Like there's other versions of certain songs that have like tremendous value outside of it. I do think that you're right though. Part of the reason why the publishing is worth less and less is mostly because you have drum programmers getting 25%.
Yeah.
There was if you had 50-50, on losing control, like that song still would create, it's at what, like 800, a billion streams across platforms, probably more.
I got fucked with that song because I forgot.
Why?
Because I forgot to clear the sample until after it was like 4 times platinum. And so I probably could have cleared it in 2015 when I made, but I didn't know anyone in 2015. I'm a kid in the basement. Like,
yeah.
But I probably could have cleared it back then for $5,000. And so song comes out, goes on the album. I forget about it to the point where I'm like, I don't even remember if I sampled that. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I did. Like that pad, just 2 chords is a sample. And so the sample holders came like in, whatever that was, 2018 or 2020 or some shit. And I was like, fuck. Because it was 4 or 5 times platinum at that point. So I had to cut a check for like $850,000.
That was expensive.
Yeah, it was an expensive fuck up. But it was like, it was fine because it was like, I had just like re-upped with Columbia. Like I just gotten whatever advance that was for, like the 3rd album or some shit. And so I didn't even feel like I lost the money because it was just like, it went to me and then I just sent it to them. And I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't even get to like touch it anyway.
Why do you think most artists are unaware of their business? And why are you so aware of your business?
That is a good question. I think most artists are unaware of what's going on due to lack of asking questions. And maybe they're intimidated to like know about it, or it's just a lot of times too, when you don't know about something, it just feels like foreign and intimidating and overwhelming. And I remember like when I was still not like mixing, our shit. So like I started out just producing for my boy and we would send it off to get mixed because mixing felt like this crazy world that I didn't know about. And I didn't even like have the awareness, like look up what mixing is or whatever. We were just sending it off. Like, yeah, I don't know, mixing some other shit. And then we were getting mixes back and we didn't like them. And I was like, let me just figure out what this is. And so then I started mixing everything. And so same thing, I think with like the business side, I think I would speculate and say most artists are probably just overwhelmed and intimidated by the whole business world because they don't know what's what. And so they're like, fuck it, I'm just not going to ask. You handle it. It's too confusing. It's too much. But for me, why I'm so like aware and want to be aware is because it's my shit. Like,
yeah,
it's my shit. It's my business. I'm not going to let somebody else just tell me like, yeah, no. This is just how it goes. I ask questions. I call my lawyer all the time. I call my business manager all the time. Like, I don't know everything. I just ask a lot of questions.
It seems like when I called you a unicorn, I mean, you're not literally a unicorn, you're metaphorically a unicorn. It feels like almost like I'm not sure if it's like an insult or a pickup line or something. You're a unicorn. It just feels like a weird thing to say to somebody.
It feels good. It feels romantic.
Okay, it's kind of romantic.
There. Yeah.
But the idea that when I have conversations with my friends who are musicians, a couple of them are like, "Do you really like this stuff?" I'm like, "No, I really like the business stuff too." And when I go in and create, it somehow feels it feels like an escape and vice versa.
Interesting.
Do you ever write songs knowing the business Do you ever write songs specifically to target something that affects your business?
No. Like, oh, I'm going to make this because a certain side of TikTok's going to go crazy.
Yeah, that feels kind of cheap, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
But do you feel like, I guess the other would be true too, which is like after you write a song, are you immediately thinking of how you're going to market that song?
Yeah. I am thinking that. But to me, that's just another like branch of my creativity, is, oh, I can already see the visuals for this song.
Yeah.
That's just another part of my creativity.
When you started releasing music,
I want to say, because you made a good point about like you like the business side, it's an escape. I think for me, part of it is also like wanting to feel in control. And I feel like if I don't know what's going on with my business, I'm just free falling in limbo. Just putting music out and songs out and not knowing what's what. Like, that's scary to me. It feels very unsafe. Feels like I'm not in control. It feels like I'm just trusting that people I met via the business are just going to have my best interest. And, I think it comes from a lack of trust. I don't trust anyone more than I trust myself, And so that's nice. I know you're a great lawyer. I know you looked at it. I'm looking at it though. And some of that, like, it's a fine line because sometimes I get too micromanagey where it's like, it doesn't foster competence. It fosters this sort of like, not resentment, but sort of just this, bro, back off. Like, I got it, But I'm like, you sure?
Yeah.
I got to fucking read it, watch it, look at it, ask questions. Just because, like I said, like if something fucks up, I don't want to be blindsided by it. I want to be like, you know what? I looked at it and I missed that.
Yeah. We just had the BMI Awards and they asked, what's advice you'd give a young writer? And I said, learn how you're getting screwed because then you can spend your whole career with eyes wide open.
Yeah.
What advice would you give young songwriters?
Oh, man. Stop giving your songs away.
To
artists. Songwriters get stuck in this like loop where I feel like they have been told or they've believed or accepted that you can't be the artist. You're just the writer, whether it's because your appearance or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, y'all are the geniuses. Y'all are like the source is what I call them. Y'all are the source. Put your shit out, Like one of my favorite songwriters, BB Borelli, who I worked with on Santiago. Great. Every time I talk to her, I'm like, please put your shit out. Yeah. When I first met her, I was like, stop giving your songs away. Just because I get it. Like, there's an art to that too. Like you writing something and somebody else singing it, whatever. I get it. But I'm like, nah, like, cause when she'll play me like her demos and I'm like, this is so much better than what came out. And oftentimes it's the emotion behind it. It's like, I can tell you wrote this based off how you're singing it. And I can tell that person did not write this. They sound like they're reading off a script, And it's like, especially in today's day and age where there's not the gatekeepers of the past who are like, I think it was The Dream. They told like, no, you're not, like, you don't look good enough to be a songwriter or some shit like that. That's out. That doesn't apply anymore. Like, this is the internet. Like, put your shit out.
The Dream solo albums were so good.
So good.
They were so good. And so they're so underrated. I think the thing about being a songwriter, and not to get off topic, but I think the idea is that you get to be whoever you want differently than an artist. Like you have to release songs that identify with Russ, the brand. And if I write a lot of songs for women.
Nice.
And like, I'm not likely to release those songs.
That would be cool.
We'll do our demo album at some point. Yeah. But it's a different thing when you're like, I get to write with people from, I write a lot in Nashville and New York, and I've been to Atlanta a few times, and it's like I'm writing music for a lot of people who are not like me.
Yeah.
And I love that.
That's an awesome exercise though. The couple times where I've been like given the opportunity to like, hey, so-and-so's looking for songs. Can you write something? It's like the most fun ever because I get out of my own way. I'm no longer writing lyrics that I feel like have to apply to me.
Mm.
I'm doing it for that. But I just end up putting those songs out.
Yeah. Well, like, how did this song happen? The one that you did with Ina, did you know Ina? Like, there's the one that like
315.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know Ina?
I sampled that. So I was at a Turkish restaurant.
Ina, well, I want to hear this story about it.
Yeah. We'll get to the appetizers.
Ina is like a songwriting, like she's part of the songwriting community.
Mm-hmm,
so to see her as like the co-writer on it is really exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did that song come out?
Yeah, so I rarely leave my house, and I'm glad I did this time. I went to a Turkish restaurant, and they were just playing the Jax Jones acoustic version of that song, I believe. Or they were playing just his version with her singing. It had to be the acoustic version. Either way, I was like, this melody's fucking crazy. Like, what is it? So I Shazam it. And I'm like, all right, we got a dip. So run home, and I just sampled the acoustic version. And that was it. Very simple.
Were you with other people at this restaurant?
My girl and my mom.
And when those moments happen, when you're in a public place,
they know we got a dip. Yeah, they know. Get the check. Can I finish my wine? No. Get the fuck out of here. ASAP. I'm trying to. Don't you want another Chanel bracelet?
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh my God. Please say this is that. What actually happens? Slap.
No, but in my head, I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing because, like,
no, that happens a lot at
my
restaurants.
wife always says, like, where did you just go? And it's like, it's this verse, and I'll start singing. Like, she just knows that, like, all of a sudden there's this look, and I don't know the look because it's my face.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see it.
Well, it's interesting. We're always working. We don't even realize it. You know, I think, Rick Rubin talks about like your antennas being up. And I think it's just a testament to, it's honoring the gift. Honoring the gift of creativity is recognizing when your antennas are picking up something and you need to dip. That's honoring your gift for me. So like if I'm at a restaurant, I hear something, I Shazam it, I hear the whole beat flip in my head, I got to go. Otherwise, that's a slap in the face to the gift I've been given,
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so real. And when I have these conversations with people who aren't musicians, professional musicians, or the muggles, if you will, as we like when you try to explain, okay, no one else has their job in their face all the time.
Yeah.
In a car, in a restaurant, in any store, anywhere in public, you walk down a street and your job is thrown at you everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what your job is. I can't think of another scenario where you're going to have your job all in your face
constantly.
It's just constantly. And it's why I try to listen to a lot of music that isn't like the music I write. Otherwise, it just will consume.
I get so bummed out though with that, because I listen to so much music that I don't write music like the songs I listen to, but I want to so bad. I'm like, how do I write a song that makes me feel like how Pushing It Down and Praying by Lizzie makes, you know what I mean? How do I write shit like fucking Slim Dan or McGee? Like, God, how do I fucking do this?
Yeah.
And I'm so pissed because it's like, this is all I listen to, and I go in the studio and I don't make this. Like, what is the disconnect?
Well, that's what we're saying. The appetite for listening to music is not the same as the appetite for making it. And like, when you sit down in front of your computer and you have like 8 hours to dive into something, you're like, you dive into generally what's natural for you to write, which is not necessarily.
Which I hate.
Why don't you? But I will say this: you could write other music. You have the skill set to do it.
Yeah. You know what it is? I think that's part of why I was so open to like collaboration these past 2 albums, because I think there's a potential for stagnation when you're drawing from the same well consistently. And so for me, over the years, and I feel like every artist has this, but like I have my go-to melodic insights and my like familiar harmonic landscapes that I dance around in. And they're just, after 500 songs and countless sessions, it just got to a point of predictability, even for myself as the creator. Like, oh, I know exactly what I'm about to do. Boring. Like I'm over it. I know exactly what melody, like it's like the melody pool of, and every artist has those go-to melodies. Like I feel like The Weeknd has like just those Weeknd melodies. Drake has very like Drake melodies. And after a while, it's just kind of like, all right, I'm over this, bro. And so this album and last album, but this album, I had these two guys from Australia, Jake and Kiri, found them on TikTok. Insane songwriter producers. They're me, but just Australian, because they sit in their room, they make everything, they mix everything, they do the beat, everything. And so we got in a group chat and we just started sending ideas back and forth. And it was so fun because I realized that collaboration is a trampoline, and, I might send a melody idea and then they bounce off of it and go there. And because you bounced off of this and went there, now I'm bouncing off of that and going there. And I got to a place off the trampoline of collaboration that I wouldn't have jumped to, and it allowed me to be a fan again because I didn't know what I was about to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like if they would send a melody idea, I was like, I got to hear it for the first time. As opposed to my melodies, it's predictable for me now, Not all the time, but there's a lot of predictability and stagnation from just being insular and isolated with my creative process.
That takes a certain level of humility. I think a lot of artists are afraid to do it / admit that they do it. And then when they do it, it's like, I mean, we know of other people who rap where they vehemently hide their collaborators.
Yeah.
Well, because they're so afraid.
Well, with rap, you shouldn't have people writing your raps. Yeah. I just feel like that's a rule of the culture. That's the rule.
Yeah.
So for me, like nobody's ever written my raps. Nobody ever will.
Yeah.
But when it comes to writing choruses and hooks, this one, it's like, yeah, bro, let's jam and write songs together.
Yeah.
Like, let's write melodies together. That's fun. That's what I used to do when I was 14. You know what I mean? Like that's the inception of this shit. So,
now that you've done that, does that open up a door to, I mean, like where obviously you're in LA right now because, Wild is new.
Yeah.
It's, does it make you want to just ride the heels and just be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, bro.
Because it makes the whole process so much faster.
But here's my thing,
or efficient, I should say.
I'm never going to be the person where it's like, send me songs and I'll just sing them. Fuck no.
Yeah.
My handprints have to be on it. Otherwise it's not authentic.
Totally.
And so that's what was so great with this process was, like I said, it was just me, Jake, and Kiri, 3 producer songwriters. We all make beats. We all write melodies. And just all of us sending beats back and forth. And then, yo, do you hear anything for this? Oh, yeah, I hear this. Oh, that makes me think of this. And like, it was true, pure collaboration. It wasn't, yo, I recorded this song, sing it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So but to your question, yes, it is. It's exciting because it's like, who else is out there that I could just get in with and just write melodies with? Because like I said, you get to a point, bro, where it's like you are just burnt out on your go-to melodic insights and your go-to harmonic worlds. It's like, it gets boring. And if this shit isn't fun, then what the fuck am I doing this shit for? You know?
Are you ever afraid that you'll run out of creativity?
Every day. I feel like that comes with being an artist, you know? It's like you go to the studio one day and you don't make shit. It's like, oh, maybe that was it. Maybe this is it. You know, like that's how dramatic I am sometimes. Like, damn, bro, like, what if I never make a fucking fire melody again? But then I always end up making one. And it's like, okay, I was being dramatic. But being dramatic, I will say, is a very underrated attribute to being a great songwriter. I think you have to over dramatize the trivial moments of life to be a great songwriter.
Why?
Like the tiniest things that are not a big deal, make them a big deal. That's like, think about, you know, there's like massive songs that are written off of like a petty argument.
Mm-hmm.
That like most people would be like, bro, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm like, yeah, it is. Or it can be.
Man, I
little do you know, the wheels are turning. Let's crank this argument up a notch.
before he died, I worked with Lamont Dozier from Holland Dozier in Holland, and he was talking about "Stop in the Name of Love" was that his wife caught him cheating and was like and said just just stop in the name of love, stop.
Gem.
It's like,
did she get production?
That's the right question. Finally, it's happened. Russ and Ross. We're gonna do an album called Rouse.
So many great songs come from just those conversational.
Oh my God,
moments. That's why I can't help but when me and my girl will be talking, and I'm like, oh, it's such a great song.
Yeah,
and it's just some regular shit she said, but Jack Johnson Banana Pancakes was him walking downstairs. And his wife was making banana pancakes, and he just had a guitar dicking around, and she was just like, oh, I like that. And then he wrote a song, but that's being dramatic, and it's awesome.
I had there's one song that I wrote. I knew the melody, and I knew it was a 5-syllable word that needed to be the thing, and it was clearly was framed like that's where the title would go.
Yeah.
And it was sitting there for a few weeks, just couldn't figure it out. I would think about it all the time. And, this is 10 years ago. And my wife said something about I just don't even feel appreciated. And I was like, that's it. And it was in the middle of the thing. I was like, this is terrible. This is a terrible thing to interrupt this particular argument. But
Love that, babe.
I am so sorry. I need to go and record this song. I've waited for this word, and we will get past this. I promise. Just give me give me a half hour. I'm gonna go upstairs. It's a good song. I think we even played it at our wedding as one of the
nice.
It became a thing.
Bro, that's so so you've experienced success with songs that didn't immediately come to you. You had to let them marinate for weeks, and
I have both.
Yeah.
I mean,
I second guess it honestly, I second guess it if it happens quick, because I'm like, surely this can't be that great if it came so fast. And I also second guess if it's dog, it's been a month and you're still trying to fit the words into this melody. It's not it.
Don't.
Yeah. Don't fit the words into the melody.
No. Don't freak out.
Oh, well, have you met me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of my whole thing.
But you can multitask. You can do 10 sessions and have that one melody percolating for months or years. Who cares?
Oh my God, that would drive me fucking nuts.
What's a song that just came off the cuff like that?
All of the big ones.
No way.
All of them.
How long did it take you to write? Any of the big ones?
315 was an hour.
The whole thing?
Yeah, well, because the hook was already there.
Yeah, right. Fair.
Losing control. So what I used to do, I used to just make a shit ton of beats.
Uh-huh.
I had a playlist on my computer called The Vault, and they were numbered. Original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I would just put The Vault on shuffle. And so Losing Control, I had that beat for 2 months. I didn't listen to it after I made it. I'm sure I did, but then forgot about it. And I went downstairs when I was still living with my parents. It was 2 a.m. and I just had the Vault on shuffle, and that beat played, and I did the melody for the hook, whispered the voice memo not to wake anyone up.
Yeah.
And the next day I went to the studio and recorded it. But that was really fast, that whole process. What They Want was 45 minutes. Psycho Part 2. All the big ones were really fast. So I think that's
how long
why
did it take you to write Crazy, the
new one?
The newest single?
That was kind of a similar situation. I made the beat in Wyoming in the hotel room, and immediately when I made the beat, I got the melody for the hook, and I went home, was playing the beat on the speakers throughout the house, took a shower. I write all my shit in the shower. All the melody ideas come in the shower. So playing it in the shower, and then I got the melody for the first verse and second verse. So I was just telling my boy Steve that I don't like writing in the studio anymore. I like recording in the studio.
Yeah.
But
you
like,
execute in the
I
studio.
want to write.
You write while you're on a hike.
I want to
while you're
write
walking,
while I'm living,
Yeah, right.
and then go into the studio and record. If I'm writing in the studio, it's so like serious and pressure. And it's like the mic is just staring you in the fucking eyes. Like, still not yet, bro.
I'm part of the 4 a.m. club or 5 a.m.
Nice.
club. I like waking up that early, and part of it is because I can come up, usually write that melody first thing before I try not to pick up my phone unless I have a melody first.
Wow.
Which is
That's
good hack.
Good discipline. Wow.
It's a good hack because the minute you start surfing, looking at other stuff, you're gone.
Oh man, I'm on Instagram in minutes.
Yeah,
with my eyes open.
Totally.
I got to stop that.
Totally. But if you could be like, all right, I'll look at Instagram once I'm like, once I've recorded my first no matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
Just be like, okay, I'm just gonna sing whatever first comes.
Damn.
And then I come to the studio and I then have had even a couple hours to refine it, and then I execute the idea.
That's awesome. That's like, you're probably still like in dream state, damn near.
Totally.
Yeah, that's fucking incredible. There was a.
I have a bunch of almost all of my voice notes from songs that have come out
just like half awake.
Are like, yeah.
There was a couple months where I was on a good routine of waking up at like 7. First thing I was doing was going to the studio. Cause just that initial pure energy and clarity is.
Pharrell does that too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
it's funny because I'm sure at some point you were the opposite too, but like I used to be, I'm not going to the studio till it's 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah. Now that's funny. If I show up for that session, I'm not very productive.
I'm not going to that session. That's not even happening.
What time do you record normally now?
During the day. 10 a.m., 11. Like, I'm not, nighttime comes, it's over with. I'm watching Netflix. Playing with my dogs.
So Jonica, it just released some music too.
Yeah.
And
she's going to be so amped that you just mentioned her name. She's seen every single one of these.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Jonica, come visit us.
Wow.
There you go.
Boom. Done deal.
Did that work?
Just got me so many points.
There's
our anniversary gift.
So I got you I don't know, how do you call this? Like it's sort of a shout out kind of. But is it inspiring to be in a relationship with somebody who's ambitious in creating music?
Extremely. And she's super talented and her ears are incredible. Her sense of melody is incredible. So it's just, it's indescribable, man, to like be in the studio with somebody that you love and making music. It's magical. There was a song she put out called Prideful where I like just did harmonies on, right? And I think it was their first time basically like really doing harmonies to that extent. And there was something really, once again, I'm dramatic. There was something really magical about like singing underneath her voice, like harmonizing with the person that you're in harmony with in life. You know, it was like, wow, this is like, yeah, it was poetic for sure.
In your book, you talk about putting all the pressure of life satisfaction on creative Russ.
Yeah, still do. I feel like I feel like a loser if I don't make something. Like I'm in a bad mood if creatively I'm not doing well in my life. It ruins my mood with everything. Like I start going down the fucking drain of just like if it's been a week and I haven't made something I fucking love, I start just feeling like everything else in my life is fucked up. And, you know, I don't know. It's bad. I'm too tied. My happiness is too tied to my creativity.
One of my best friends, Dr. Eric Bean, is a sports psychologist and you know, coach for people. And he says that for most people, if you spend 20% of your days with purpose, that's enough to satiate people. Do you spend 20% of your days creating?
20%. So what is that? 4 hours? 4.8? No. No, maybe that's why I'm miserable. 4.8. So I need to up my hours.
No, it's a really interesting thing because it feels, that's really funny. Conversely, people say, 20% more is what people think they need to be happy is the same principle.
20% creating or just being purposeful?
Well, that is, I think.
Because that's vague.
It is super vague, but I think the idea is like we all have to deal with a bunch of shit all day. Yes. So it's like, can you spend 20% of your time doing something you love? I think is probably more what that means.
I need to do that more often.
It seems attainable, and and yet it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Wow,
releasing music, you were obviously signed to Columbia and went through the major label system.
Yeah.
And you've been independent for the last few releases. Do you find that the music has changed at all, other than natural growth? Has the music changed at all because of your label collaboration?
No. While I was with Columbia, I was still like, it was such a bizarre situation that I'm sure they don't want me talking about, but because they would never allow other artists to do it, I'm sure. But I was putting out songs on TuneCore, like while being signed. They were still letting me put out like Psycho Part 2, which has 1 billion streams. I put that out on TuneCore for $9 while being signed.
Why did they allow that?
Because I told them that it was. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't have a good answer. I think you know what it was? It was before my debut came out, right? So to set the scene of context, when I got with them, I had this massive back catalog of 300 songs, and I had played them my debut album. They knew what it was. Losing Control, What They Want, Do It Myself, and Pull the Trigger had already been out. So they knew those were monsters, and those were on the debut. So they knew what the debut was going to be. And I said, look, I have to keep putting out music. That's what I'm doing. That's like, I'm not doing this deal unless I can keep dropping. And so I need to keep dropping, and it's all going to go back into the pot anyway. Meaning, these songs I'm going to put out over here on TuneCore are going to make the artist Russ bigger, which is going to make the debut album that we're splitting bigger. So just look the other way. And shout out to Imran, who's my A&R, who just was fucking awesome. I'm sure he was just taking fucking punches because he was telling them like, it's fine, just let him, and they were not. Yeah.
Well, shout out Imran, who's now co-presidents with my buddy Justin Ishak and has had maybe the craziest A&R year.
Oh my God, insane.
Sabrina and Chapel Roan in the same
crazy
year. But when you look at
the music didn't change.
The brilliance of what that is.
Yeah.
I don't know that a label would be upset other than FOMO.
That's all it was.
They would be actually really pleased because, man, no one's happier about Sabrina's success than Hollywood Records.
Right.
It's coming out on Island, but like her back catalog all of a sudden is this huge boost.
Right.
So if you put out something that's massive, it helps. It is a rising tide with an artist who has a hit.
Yeah.
That all the songs start to gain more value.
And I had just common sense conversations with them, meaning, look, guys, if you are not going to spend money on it, you don't get to have it. Mm. Because the only way you can justify having it is greed. And I'm not going for it. So if you want to spend money on it, rock out. Let's discuss. But I want to just spend $9 to distribute it and just throw it up on the DSPs and not market it or do anything. So what do y'all care?
Right.
I'm not asking. It'd be different if I was like, yo, throw me $100,000 for a music video, but I'm putting it down on TuneCore. It was just, hey, let me keep doing what I'm doing over here.
Yeah, I mean, you started off by releasing. Well, you didn't start off doing this, but you when you started releasing a song a week for 3 years or something.
Yeah.
How do you get off that train? I get the concept of doing it, and it's really smart because it creates some sort of anticipation. People come to see what comes out the next week. How do you jump off that elegantly?
It was tough. So I did 11 mixtapes first, and then I did a song a week for 96 weeks, 100 weeks, something like that. And when it finally got to the point where like, okay, I did what I was trying to do, which was it blew up, you know? And now what's next is the debut album. I remember I uploaded a song on SoundCloud where it was me explaining to my fans the next release is the debut album and it's not going to be on SoundCloud because this is the elevation. And, I think I commend my younger self because he did a really good job. I did a really good job at keeping my fans in the loop about everything. When I partnered with Columbia, I posted the video of me signing you know what I mean? So that there was full transparency to bring him along for the ride. But how I ended up getting off that train was by kind of always having one foot on the train because I kept putting out songs weekly. The debut comes out, it crushes. But within 4 months, I was doing weekly songs again for like 5 weeks. That's when I put out Wife You Up, which went gold.
Yeah.
And then a couple months after that, I did weekly songs again. And then the second album came out. But then 3 months after that, I was doing weekly songs. So it was never really like, all right, I'm out. You're about to only hear from me once every 2 years with a 12-song album. I like making music and sharing it. So consistency is something that was never gonna.
It's hard to do that when 20% of your time isn't being creative.
Very true. Yeah, I gotta up that.
You have to be really efficient.
Yeah.
Only somebody who's gone through therapy refers to their younger self as he.
True. There is a separation though,
I mean, if you had to start from zero with everything you know now, how would you do it?
I would make a bunch of songs first. I think people don't have patience. In order to be consistent, you have to be patient first. So I would be patient, stock up a bunch of songs. I would say I would stock up 24 songs that I know are fucking great. I would do what I can to just have video shot. Obviously, if there's no budget, get that iPhone out and go crazy. And I would do 2 songs a month with like posting 200 fucking TikToks to each song straight up. And I would just keep doing that over and over. 2 songs a month. 1 song a month minimum has to be your pace, or I don't think you want it that bad. Simple. Some people don't want it that bad. That's the reality. I want a 6-pack, but not that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not bad enough to like really dial it in. I want it, but not that bad.
Your lyrics are really vulnerable, but they also have like this self-assurance. Which one are you?
Both. I think that's the sometimes I wrestle with that of like feeling sure about myself in the future, but then also having doubts, and insecurities and all that. It's all wrapped up in one beautifully miserable, robust human experience.
We talked about sampling in some of the songs, Missing You Crazy, whatnot. Is it worth it to sample music when you can write hooks?
Yeah. What's the correlation?
I don't know. I mean, like, why sample music? Like, why sample when you're you have the capability of writing everything? It's a little bit rhetorical because I think that there's reason to sample, but I'm just curious what inspires you to sample versus create?
There's something still just really special about sampling. I think it's hip hop. It's awesome. It's an art form. And some people's shit is just crazy and I want to sample it. You know what I mean? And there's also like textures you can't get anymore, bro. Like you go listen to shit from the 70s, the mics they were using, how they were recording it, the tone of the guitars. It's like, I hate a lot of this pristine loop world we've gotten into where like they try to remake 70 like vintage soul sample pack for sale and it's too clean. It's like, yeah, all the chords are there and the melodies are there, but it's too crisp. I don't hear any soul. I hear the soul chords, but I don't feel the soul in the music. You got to go to the 70s for that.
When did your parents recognize your success? Being that they, like your dad listened to Kansas and they're listening to ABBA.
Yeah.
No doubt when you're like, hey, mom and dad, this is the kind of music I'm doing.
I'm about to rap.
Yeah, like this is weird, but how was he?
My dad also loved Eminem.
Like, how did you, I don't know how else to say this, but like, how else did you, like, how did you come out of the closet? Like, I'm a rapper to your family. And when did they realize that you were?
They always were supportive.
Successful.
They weren't like, what are you doing? This is dumb. They were supportive. They just wanted my mom wanted me to be in school though. She wanted me to go to college, which I did for like a semester and a half. And then we flew to LA for my first time ever. And my best friend, Bugis, who I was just producing for at the time, his song and video, Cali, got played on MTV, which I produced, which you guys know, like at the beginning of your journey, that's a huge win. Mm-hmm. That's enough to be like, I'm never like, I made it. Like, I'm clearly doing the right thing. I'm good enough. So I think that was a big thing for them, seeing that, to be honest, seeing like, oh shit, you guys got on MTV. And then shortly after, like my own song and video, song called Young Pacino got on MTV, and I'm doing an interview on MTV. This is like 2013. So it was, I made my first song ever, 2011, and I think 2013. I think 2012, I like did that MTV interview. So it was pretty like, there was signs that this was maybe the right path pretty early on. So they were supportive. There wasn't much friction there. There was friction with my dad when it came to showing him my music and my art, because he was just very, very like critical. You know what I mean? And like,
how was he critical?
Critical in the sense of like, this is what you should have done this. You should say this in the song. The video should have been this. It would have been better if you shot it like this. Just that kind of stuff. And at the beginning, when you're first starting this shit, like you really need reassurance that, first of all, like, I'm proud of you for doing your thing and doing it. What do you think of this though? I think it was, for me, you get the wrong no from the right person, it stings. You're like, damn, man, I was just trying to show you, for you to be like, yo, this is awesome that you're doing this. Obviously I'm an amateur. Like, it's like if you first start playing basketball and like you're losing the dribble because your handle isn't right. It's like, yeah, you could tell that kid, bro, like, that sucks. You're not supposed to lose the ball, right? It's like, yeah, I know. Like, I just started.
Well, the weird thing is like, if my dad played music around the house, and I remember I used to make music that I thought he would like. And once I opened for Jurassic 5, and I was like, my first like
Jurassic 5, like Charlie Tuna.
Yeah.
Holy
first like record deal is like almost, it's hip hop on acoustic guitar.
Wow.
And I was like, I toured, did the whole thing. I realized I was doing something special once my dad said, I don't really get this. And it was this weird moment of, but this is good. Oh, wait a minute. Those are different things.
Yeah.
That it's okay if my dad doesn't get it.
Sure.
Later, I wrote songs that he could sing in a karaoke bar, and that's when like I won points. But like at that time, my first record deals, he did not get the music, and it turned out that that's what I needed to do, was create music that my dad didn't get.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I think we're all like searching early on for like our dad's approval.
Totally.
And so that, like, to me, that was just the friction there. But we worked through that
until they see like, oh,
this
like
works.
If they had that taste, they would have maybe pursued this job.
Right.
But the one thing that's weird about music is listeners have been, if you need 10,000 hours to be an expert, most humans that have listened to music for 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So they are experts at listening to music.
That's so true.
Which is very different than, it's like you can't build a car. Like nobody knows how to build a car unless you've spent, like, it's just not.
Yeah.
You have to go actually do the thing. Whether you wanted to or not, you've listened to 10,000 hours of music.
True.
So I don't have a problem thinking that, somebody who's not in the industry having an opinion about music may actually have a good point.
True.
So I don't
For
mind
sure.
listening to that as constructive criticism. But it is weird when you're thinking about creating the music, takes a certain consistency and taste that you have to acquire and refine, just like a chef would. Like you could be good at cooking, but you're not a chef.
Yeah, but I wish I could go back to like when I didn't know as much as I know now.
Why?
Because that was the like purest form of creation, is when you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
were you better then?
Not better than. I was more free mentally. You know, like 2017 or 2015 when I'm making all those SoundCloud songs, I'm not even, the audience was not a factor because there was no audience. You know what I mean? I had no fans. I had no audience. Now, naturally, even if it's on a subconscious level, the audience creeps into the studio. They sneak in mentally sometimes because it's hard to just completely pretend that they're not there, you know, when you know they are. Like, it's like in 2015, I didn't have to play pretend. There was no audience. Now I have to play pretend and pretend there's no audience.
Is that your biggest challenge now?
I think so. Yeah.
What do you feel like you have to prove to your audience?
It's not a matter of prove. It's not wanting to let them down. Fear of losing them, which is a bad place to operate from.
Maybe it's a great place to operate from.
I just think that I should not give a fuck about what they think. But it's tough because as a musician, your entire livelihood depends on what people think about you. If you're doing this, if you're making a living, that's the other thing. Like, I take care of my whole family off of music, so it has to keep working.
Isn't that a lot of pressure?
Yeah, tons. And in 2015,
why are you responsible for taking care of your whole family?
Oh, this is you. Yeah. Oh man. I think one, I put that responsibility on myself. It was like this noble thing I thought was, you know, and I'm proud of it. I feel honored and proud that I'm able to, because I don't know what the situation would be if I wasn't doing this. Because, yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It's a completely different dynamic to go from being 17, 18, 19, 20, and, you know, you're just making music and there is no financial pressure on it, to being in the studio. And like I said, it's not a conscious thought, like, this song I'm making has to be a hit because I take care of my whole family. It's not conscious, but I assume it lives in my body somewhere. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because I know that, like, I can't, it's almost like my family can't afford for me to fall off.
Yeah, that's not fair.
No, it's not fair. And it's not something that they've, like I said, I kind of put it on myself. It just is what it is.
I think what's weird, well, it's weird. I mean, because
there's therapy.
Most
is what it is.
You're cured.
That's it? Is what it is?
That was it.
How many dollars can you save if you just say, is what it is?
Yeah, it was very short. Thank you for coming. That was great.
Yeah.
I think that I try to have people walk in here as the studio that is, and say that the people who are king is the audience. That it takes the ego out of it and be like, how far can we entertain these people? What can we do that's like so unexpected, that pushes us to write something that is different than anything we've done yet? That's like, okay, they think we're going to come in with this. Let's entertain them. Let's do something outlandish.
Yeah.
Let's use these musical elements, you know, let's change up the game a little bit.
Yeah.
And it starts to be like this, okay, so we now have this place we can go.
Yeah.
That's unique from where I would go by myself.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, it's not placating. Mm-hmm, it's not, it's to me, I think that it's a freedom that instead of looking at them as like, okay, well, if they don't like this and they don't go along with me, then I'm fucked, and so is my family. Instead, it's like, why don't we go and do something that they're not expecting? So then they're like, whoa, that was like, maybe it'll bring more people onto the train.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll lose.
I think the audience is
either you're going to lose them or not anyway.
Yeah,
so
anyway,
like, you might as well go somewhere they haven't been yet, which you're doing by this new album.
But with that being said, I might as well just make what I like.
Yeah.
Because to your point, I'm going to lose them or gain them anyway. So I want to like it. But I do think the audience is king in the sense of picking hits, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think artists, like, you're wasting your time caring or thinking about, is this going to be a hit? Because the people pick the hits. Like, you could think it's this one and just put the music out and the people will tell you it's this one, you know? So I do think the audience is king in that regard, but I don't know, man. I
That's
think
so antithetical to how most record labels have traditionally worked, where they pick the first 5 singles before the albums come out.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it isn't that.
Yeah. You don't have to play the guessing game anymore, though. Just the relationship, the artist-fan relationship, I feel like has just been democratized, you know? And it's like, bro, put the music. This is kind of why I did my approach of a song a week and why I still just throw so much shit at the wall. Because for me, it's a couple things. 1, I love making music. 2, I love sharing it. And I love sharing it consistently. And 3, I'm not going to waste brain power and bandwidth and energy and get attached to like this song needing to be the hit. I'm just going to put all this shit out. And y'all will tell me based off of the streams, which one is the one. And then I'll go do a video to that. And I'll take that to radio. And I'll do campaigns and da-da-da-da. Or I won't. But that's, you know, like 315 was just week 3 of week 21 when I did 21 weeks in a row in 2021. That was just week 3. I dropped 18 more after that.
Do you ever feel disappointed when you're pretty sure that you know what the single is?
Yeah, all the time. Oh my God.
What's a single that the audience didn't pick?
Oh man, Bankrupt. Bankrupt is this song. This is, I believe, 2021. I wanted to try this new approach where I was like, song a month, big music video with it, because I'm betting on myself in the music, you know? And Bankrupt was just, I think it's a beautiful song. I think the concept is incredible. I think the melody is incredible. I think the video is a super special video where it just looks exactly how the song sounds. So everything about it was perfect. And shit did nothing. Like, goddamn. Well, there goes 200 grand.
Why do you think
live to fight another day?
Why did it do nothing?
I don't know. Just not the one, you know? That's also like, because I put out so much music, I do have a pretty good relationship with the songs from an emotional level. Like, it's all good. It's just not the one. And some artists, like most artists, the song is just not the one. It's not because that person didn't post it. It's not because the label didn't spend money on it. That's not why this song didn't blow up. It's because the song isn't the one.
Do you think that would have... All right, I want to go to the Spotify post.
Sure.
Where I feel like that... I want you to explain what the Spotify post is. Sure. And then it would solve the issue of Bankrupt on some level, where you could be like, no, this is the single, and like the fans wouldn't necessarily know how other people are listening to it. But explain your Spotify post and why I'm referring to it.
Yeah, so I think Spotify should just remove the numbers from the public, like the stream counts, how many followers the playlists have, all that. It's not anyone's business except the artist, the company, Spotify, and if you're signed to a label, it's almost like Spotify is showing the business part of the music business. Just show the music. Why are you showing the business? See what I'm saying? Like, you showing stream counts now has fans involved in the business. And it's fucking it up because you get a bunch of one, it's fucking it up for artists because you end up falling into this comparison game. I shouldn't even know what like the Weeknd song just did in the first 24 hours. Like, why is that? It's not my business. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be able to look and see and like, well, then I put mine out and it didn't. It's no one's business. So it's ruining like the fucking, you know, just headspace for artists. And two, it's making fans be fucking insane. And it's shifting the conversation from music to numbers. And I think the conversation, if you're a fan, should always just be about the music. You shouldn't even know the numbers to justify, you know, why you like something. Or
do you fear speaking out for or against DSPs?
No. I mean, there's that like, oh fuck, maybe that's why I didn't get playlisted on whatever, but
do you think that
like
it has an effect?
No. And if it does, oh well. You know what I mean? Like, I have such a built-in fan base that like they're gonna listen to the song.
I mean, this is the argument
like,
that
you can't take Losing Control off Spotify. My fans are gonna go listen to it.
A lot of people who are afraid to speak out on behalf of songwriters, artists, part of the fear is that they feel like they're being watched. And after I reposted your post, I got hit up by an executive from Spotify.
Nice.
Who said, "You love Spotify." And I responded, I said, I do love Spotify for a lot of things, but I have some artists that are baby artists who are incredible, and I always send them to Apple.
Yeah.
Because I don't want somebody to listen to it and look and be like, well, but they only have like 5,000 monthly listeners.
And that's a
the
real
music
thing.
is incredible.
Right.
And I specifically choose when to use Apple versus Spotify because of the count.
Yeah.
And so one of those people also works in the business outside of Spotify. I was like, but don't you do the same for your artists? You know, don't you also choose which DSP to send your, you know, somebody in the world, because you don't want to have them swayed by, yeah, but this song's not a hit.
Right.
No, it sounds clearly a hit.
I think people need to be honest about the influence of social proof. You know, we're humans. And so when you see a price tag on a shirt that says $900 next to a shirt that says $10, you assume the $900 one is a better shirt, is a better quality. Maybe the fabric, you just assume it's better. Most people. And so same with music, same with if you're scrolling on TikTok and you see a post and you're like watching it, your eyes immediately go to like the likes and comments. I know for me, and I know a lot of other people when I talk to them, because you're seeing like, has this been deemed funny? Has this been deemed worthy? If not, I'm going to keep scrolling. And so to your point with artists with 5,000 monthly listeners, you assume there's a part of your brain as a consumer that assumes this is of low quality. It's probably not that good. And yet now consciously you might try to like combat that by saying, no, I'm going to make it a point to listen to this and whatever, because it has 5,000. But we can't deny the influence of social proof.
NMPA is the premier organization for music publishers and their songwriter partners. It's their mission to increase the value of music, and that's exactly what they do. NMPA is working right now to raise royalty rates for songwriters from streaming services, radio, social media, and everywhere music is essential. From the courts to Congress, NMPA works to get songwriters what they deserve. I know because I've served on the board before, and I'm the current co-chair, along with Ryan Tedder and Liz Rose, for the Golden Platinum Club. So again, thank you NMPA for supporting And the Writer Is and songwriters everywhere. Hey guys, I'm excited to tell you a little bit about one of today's sponsors, peermusic. During a time of intense consolidation in the music industry, peermusic's legacy is something that can't be bought. Peermusic has been family run since it was founded in 1927. From its entrepreneurial roots, the company has grown into one of the largest and most respected independent music publishing and neighboring rights companies in the world. peermusic represents some of the biggest names, including Pooh Bear, David Lee Murphy, David Foster, The Tragically Hip, and many more. And peermusic neighboring rights represents over 350 record labels, and more than 3,000 artists, including Teddy Swims, Aretha Franklin, Her, Bruno Mars, Imagine Dragons, Martin Garrix, and many more. Delivering nearly 100 years of music publishing excellence, Peer Music is a trusted and widely respected leader in the music community and a place where songwriters and artists can thrive. If you want to learn more, I recommend you go follow @peermusic on all their social media sites and check out peermusic.com. We talk about this in the Banks interview a little bit, but like the best thing I've ever written is like, you know, the number one song on it has less than 1 million streams, but that album is clearly the best thing I've written.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just not in the, like, it's not in my billions club of songs. You know, it's just not. It's
Billions,
just not
crazy.
which is a crazy concept. And it's like, but these songs are not in the same category. There's clearly better.
But it's also, isn't that like, why is 1 million a milestone? That's an arbitrary, why isn't 800,000? You know what I mean? It's like how and I feed into it. You know what I mean? Like, I like numbers too. I love numbers. I love plaques. I love all this.
But you're just saying it should be consumed by yourself.
It should be only
like, as an artist
privy to like the business people. Like it should, the artists, the labels, the companies. We should know the business. The fans shouldn't know the business.
I mean, Instagram got rid of it for a reason.
Instagram should turn it off as a company.
They got rid of it except for once you get to Reels, then you start showing it again. And it's like, but when it got to likes, it was like, or for pictures, they got rid of it because it was unhealthy.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, the only problem is I don't think it like affects most fans' health. Maybe your fans because they're rabid.
It affects. I think for fans it does affect them. Just maybe not on a personal level, but it affects how they consume shit, you know? And I think the reason why Spotify has such an issue with fake streams compared to Apple is because once you put up a scoreboard, people are going to try to cheat. Apple has no scoreboard.
Yeah.
We don't know the score, and neither does anyone else. So that's not a metric we care about. Nobody knows what songs are doing on Apple. You see a chart, but you don't know how many streams. Spotify, you see streams. So you're like, oh shit, what can I do to make my number say 60 million in the first week instead of 20? Because now it's a game and now you're going to try to cheat. And I love Spotify, but that's the reality. You know, they allow fake streams. They've already came out and said it indirectly by saying, if we find out you're faking over 89% of your streams, we're going to hit you with a fine. So I can fake 87% of my streams and we're good. Mm. That's fucking crazy. That's what they said without saying it.
Do you shift the way you release music now versus when you started because of how music is consumed now?
Like, I don't think you can do a song a week now. I think I can because that's like something I'm so synonymous with and my fans like are conditioned for it. But I don't think song a week is the wave, just because back when I was doing song a week, I was doing it on SoundCloud. And SoundCloud, you could upload the song right now.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So I would drop a song on a Tuesday and then next Monday and then maybe that Sunday. And then once, you know, it was fun and sporadic and free. Now it's so rigid. Fridays. And you don't have to drop on Fridays, but the DSPs have kind of strong-armed everyone by saying, well, Fridays is when we're refreshing the playlists. And so if you don't drop on the Friday, you might get fucked with that, you know? But if you're just an up-and-coming artist, I guess you should probably just be dropping whenever. But yeah, I think song a week is just too much right now. I would do 2 songs a month max.
When you're talking about, you know, all the collaborations that you've now kind of gotten used to, this, you know, you've worked with some of the biggest artists in the world. What's it like working with Ed Sheeran?
Nuts. I wasn't in the studio with him. He's just an insane guy. For how down to earth he is, for how like big he is bonkers to me. And yeah, he's just, it was inspiring because like I said, we weren't in the studio, but his whole career and his approach is inspiring because I'm like, you've done everything. You've beat the game of the music business 60 times over, you know? And it's cool to see him still want to, like, you can tell he's just making music because he loves it now. And like, he was obviously always doing it for that, you know? But I think there's certain like NBA players you look at and like, oh, you could tell they would just play for free because they just love the game.
Yeah.
It's like Ed Sheeran has some of the biggest songs ever. He could just retire and be like, I'm done. But he's doing it for the love of music, which I just commend.
He also can freestyle.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Ed's a great rapper. Ed's a great rapper.
In a name dropping moment.
Yeah.
I was in New York working with Benny because we worked a lot, and it was a while ago because I think it was a Mac Miller show, and we were backstage in a green room, and it was a circle of Amar Malik, who's like, you know, an A-list writer, dear friend, Benny, Sonny Skrillex, and Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
And everyone's freestyling, and you're just hoping like that the freestyle ends right before me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, man, I can't compete with these guys. Like,
Yeah.
I can freestyle melodies no one wants to hear scatting right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
A tutu tatu.
yeah. It's just not gonna win. I'm not gonna win fans with these guys. And it's like, but it was just fun to see, like, in a closed space, everyone's drinking, but nobody's like
hammered.
Nobody's hammered yet. And but it was more the idea that nobody was there for any other purpose. Like, it just started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's like, I'm gonna start freestyling. Like,
yeah.
You're
That's
such
fun.
like you're like, you know, like when you're talking about taking care of the family and stuff, one of the things that you do so well is freestyling, which I don't have to make you do without a beat right now. But you know, as somebody who freestyles, do you feel like you need to be inspired to start?
Good question. No. Yes and no, but I think sometimes inspiration is overrated. I think just like showing up and doing it can sometimes be what curates the inspiration. Like, you can be inspired by you showing up and doing it. There's, you know, I used to kind of take it as a test from like the universe when I was younger, and the studio wasn't at my house. It was at Boogis's house. And days where I felt so uninspired, I would always be like, this is the test. Are you still going to go? And so I would make it a point to go to the studio when I was uninspired. And so many times I would write big songs when I showed up uninspired. Because it's almost like the showing up gave me that motivation. You kind of get like dopamine from showing up when you didn't want to show up, you know? So I think just relying on inspiration you're not going to make that much stuff.
Yeah, I think they say something like amateurs need to be inspired.
Huh. Yeah.
It's sort of a, you know.
It's almost like going to the gym, you know?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like.
You also get in the groove of it. I think when you know you have to go to the studio every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's when all the preparation starts for me.
Yeah.
It's like I come up with ideas because I know I have to go somewhere. If
True.
I'm just, you know, it's like that gets me excited because I'm like, oh, I got to, especially this is the collaboration thing.
Yeah.
This was why it would be fun to collaborate.
Yeah.
Is because if you knew you were coming in here every day.
Yeah.
In a healthy, competitive way.
Yeah.
I will guarantee I come in with better ideas than you. That's not true, by the way, but I would.
It might be.
I would want to set the tone.
Yeah.
That when I come in with an idea, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
And then you start coming in with like, "Okay, I got an idea," and it starts to become this thing, and then you end up with multiple good ideas because you start going in. And you're like, "I can't go to the, you're a basketball guy. You can't just go and just, you know, you want to make sure you're the last one in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you're showing that like the other players that like, oh no,
yeah,
I'm not here to just fuck around.
I never thought about it like that, where it's like, yeah, if you make it a point where you know you're going to the studio, so you have to have ideas.
Yeah, you don't have to use it as like this place of like just a blank slate. Not to mention that's also fun, but I have a lot of experience of going in a studio where I thought it was a blank slate and something great's going to happen, nothing good happened.
Yeah.
You know, which is okay too.
Sure.
You got to write through those days too, but
yeah.
You know,
I think I just move around with so many ideas. I think all songwriters and producers do. I have notes of unused verses, and, you know, I have a Shazam fucking list of songs to like sample, potentially song concepts written in my notes, song called this, you know, like I just move around with so many ideas that I feel like at any time I'm prepared.
One of the coolest things you said is that you have the vault.
Yes.
And I have a lot of unwritten tracks that I bring out for random things, but I better remember which ones they are.
Yeah.
And if you have a vault of tracks or a vault of songs, like going back and being willing. This is the thing about when you were like,
that's how I caught a lot of
weeks later.
Yeah, months later for Losing Control.
That's crazy.
I know.
But that's the writing when you said, oh, I don't have the patience. Like maybe you didn't remember the melody. Or when you were saying melody and you don't have the lyric and like how long it's not.
But see, that wasn't that long. That was like I had the melody and I had the words, and then I went to the studio the next day and did the verses.
Yeah, it's so good.
You know? But yeah, I got to get back into doing that. I think what happened was back then I was just making so many fucking beats because I also had just so much time, free time. And I was just making so many beats because I was producing for other people and I wasn't really making my own shit yet. And then even when I did start making my own shit, I just had so much time and I'm making so many beats. And now it's kind of like when I sit and make a beat, I make a beat and then make the song. It's just way more efficient now. Like I'm not just sitting down cranking out 10 beats. I'm making one and going into the studio immediately and making the song.
Like, I don't think you can have it both ways. I don't think you can say in the beginning of when you're like, oh, I wish I could go back to like the joy of when you just started.
Yeah.
And also say, I'm happy that I'm as efficient as I am. Like the efficiency comes from the years of going in blindly.
Yeah.
And that's like, those things are opposites.
True. I wish I had more beats I was sitting on. The other thing that happened is early on, I had no connects. I had no contacts. There was no producers reaching out. Now I have so many different packs from so many different producers, so many beats.
Yeah.
That can be kind of lazy. Like I don't have to wake up. Like it used to be if I wanted to make a song, I had to make the beat.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I'll just go through my Dropbox folder of a million different packs from like great producers. Let me go through the Boy Wonder pack, through the Ill Mind pack. And it's like, you know.
I mean, what's going to happen, you know, when you get into AI stuff and it's only going to get easier and more lazy.
Yeah. That's why it's like, I need to be more disciplined and like get back on just go make beats, you know, just to create, like I have a new vault. The playlist is called New Vault on my computer. Yeah. And it's like 150 beats, but I don't sit and just put it on shuffle like I used to, which I should. Cause I used to get a lot of songs like that. Like a lot. Cause like I said, I would want to make a song. I didn't have beats from other people. So I can't go put the Boy Wonder pack on shuffle. I had to put my pack on shuffle and a bunch of songs like that.
Are you happy?
Ooh. Oh man. No. I think yes and no. I'm just basing it off of the visceral reaction I just got in my gut. It was just a punch of like, maybe that means no. I think I used to think that I'm supposed to only be one emotion post success. I didn't allow room for sadness or grief, disappointment, anything. I thought that once you get successful, I'm supposed to be, like you just said, just happy in general. And if I'm not, there must be something broken, something wrong. And I think for me, I have times where I'm happy and I have times where I'm sad. I have times where I'm angry. I have times where I doubt. But I am proud of what I've done. I'm proud of who I am. I can finally acknowledge like the work I've put in and what I've built. And that makes me feel good about myself. And there's still more I want to do, you know, and there's still shit with my family and, you know, that we're working on. And, you know, there's still all those hurdles. But this phase of my life is kind of about accepting that it's going to be a constant juggle of like grief and gratitude simultaneously, you know. And I think in the past, I've just resisted that. And that's kind of what this album is about. It's not necessarily a concept album where I'm telling a story. It's just an album that represents the phase of my life that I'm in, which is just accepting life's unpredictability. And in the past, I think because when I was just a little bit younger and just more immature, I just thought that it's all supposed to be good now. Like I got money and success and fame and whatever. And it's like, there should be no problems. And when problems happened, it threatened my idea of who I was. It threatened because I was like, well, I'm this successful person. Like there shouldn't be any problems. And what do you mean my parents are getting divorced? What do you mean all this hate came in? Like people don't like me? How? What? What's not to like? But now what I've realized is it's always going to be something, you know, there's always some bullshit going on. And I used to just run around playing whack-a-mole, like driving myself crazy, thinking there was holes in my boat, you know, and running around trying to plug the hole. And it's like, there's no holes in the boat. You're just in a boat in the ocean. So water's going to get in sometimes. And that has been extremely liberating, because to go from this with life, like strangling it to make sure it goes your way, and I refuse for there to be a problem. And if there is a problem, it fucks everything up for me, to like loosen the grip and just be like, yeah, I know there's going to be some more fucked up shit that happens, but I know there's going to be some more great shit that happens. And I have to zoom out and look at my life as a robust experience, which by doing that, I find understanding and acceptance that there's going to be bad shit, good shit, grief, gratitude. And that's all part of life. And there is no life that I can create that eliminates bad things from happening, sadness. That is just part of it.
What's success now? If you've already reached success,
I think, yeah. Oh my God. I am going through that right now in therapy. I keep having existential crisis moments of like, what is the point? You know, it gets pretty, like, it's like when you sort of reach the end of, well, I'll frame it by saying this. I think for me, it's the phase of my life I'm also in right now is trying to create more balance, trying to not live to work, but work to live, you know, like taking a month to just live in New York and walk around and eat food and be with my girl and my dogs.
Did you do that?
I'm about to, you know, because I'm like, I can't just keep living like this. Like I gotta, you know what I mean? And so,
speaking of Ed, I remember when he shut off his phone for like 9 months or something.
I think like 9 years
or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I get to the point sometimes where I'm like, what is the point of all this? You know, because you kind of reach the end of the material world. You've bought, like for me, I've bought everything. Like I bought all the cars, I bought the house, I bought all the jewelry. My mom has her beach house. My sister has her, you know what I mean? Everyone has all their, what my business manager calls the big purchases. I did all that like 1,000,000 times. You know, I've traveled damn near just, I think my bin app is like at 26% of the world, which is high, I think. So I've been to a lot of places. It's kind of like, all right, what is the point now? It's like, make the song to put it out so that what? So that you feel good. So that then what? So then you tour it, and then like, then what? Then you put out more. So that what? So you tour it. It's like, it starts feeling a little monotonous, which is why I think now I'm getting into acting, which feels really exciting. Because it's just a new mountain to climb. I'm sure I'm actually distracting myself from getting to the root of the problem. But till then, I will climb this other mountain and hope there's a different summit.
Yeah, it was fun seeing you in the M. Night Shyamalan movie, which is, you know, working with obviously like legends all around, which is wild.
Mindfuck. Yeah, completely. And then there's a movie coming out this year where I'm like the co-lead of.
Really?
Yeah. And it's called Don't Move. And that movie is why I was open to collaboration.
Oh, interesting.
Because that was the first time in my life, I didn't grow up going to church. I grew up playing sports, but you know, I'm 32. I haven't like been on a team in a team environment forever. That was the first time where I saw the value of community. It's 5 days a week, 13 hours a day with the same people, all trying to accomplish the same goal. And we're going through hard stuff together. and coming out on the other side okay. It's like the foundation of secure attachment. You know what I mean? Not to get too therapeutic, but it was the most fun I've ever had, man. Most fun I've ever had. More fun than like any music ever. It was invigorating. I remember showing up being so nervous, thinking that I was going to have to drink my way through it. There was no way I was going to do that sober. What? Impossible. And I didn't. I didn't fucking, and I didn't do sober. I didn't drink at all on set or off. And it was just such a blast. And like afterwards, I sent like numerous voice memos to the director and like other castmates of just like bawling my eyes out. Like, just got no response. No, I'm kidding. I got a response.
No, but it's,
like,
it's a weird thing. Like
just
when you
like
finish,
being like, holy fuck, man. Like I needed this so bad. I didn't realize how much I needed this, like community, working on stuff with people. Like, holy fuck. This makes me realize how lonely my music career has been. Cause it's just me in my fucking basement making songs. And it works. Like 315 is me by myself. That is a massive song. Handsomer, me by myself at 10 in the morning. It went platinum in 9 months. No samples. Original. You know what I mean? Like it works. It's just lonely though, you know? And so I was like, how do I recreate the spirit and energy of community in my music world? How am I going to do this? Because after doing the movie, going back to music felt like sad a little bit. It felt kind of like, all right, bye everyone. I'm going to go back to my house by myself now and like hang out for 3 months in the room and look at the 4 walls until a platinum plaque comes, you know?
I suppose the difference is like, when you go see that movie, you'll see the collective response. But when you perform in front of a few thousand people, you're going to see very quickly how not lonely those other people feel.
Right. So I think it's funny when I talked with John Mayer about this, like during the pandemic, he said some artists need live shows to find our place in the universe. And it's so true. It's like when I do shows is when it becomes like real, because you're like, oh, I was by myself, but now this music has created a community, but you don't feel part of that community. Like I don't necessarily feel a part of my fan base. See what I'm saying? Like I'm the artist, I'm the creator, I'm on stage. It's you got to even think about the dynamic. It's like you're exalted.
Well, you're like a pastor. You're like
you're on
priest,
a stage.
You're a rabbi.
They're down
whatever.
there.
Yeah.
You don't feel amongst, you know? And so the movie made me feel a part of a community. Mm-hmm. And so that's why this album was like, for me, the most fun I've had in a really long time making music, because it was me. And like I said, me, Jake and Kiri in a group chat, just making shit. And like everyone responds fast. We're all like up all fucking hours of the night trying to just make songs because we're geeked off of the excitement and songs are getting made quick. And it was just exhilarating, man. It was exhilarating. And I would love to, you know, the bigger vision is, you know, renting a place for a month and a half, having super ill creatives, and like, this is what we're doing. But I don't trust myself enough to do that as a person because I feel like I'd be an asshole. I'm worried.
You don't have to do it alone either. Like I think the creation and curation of
I'm just worried I would be too micromanagey.
Yeah, but you'll never know unless you try.
I know.
I love.
Have you done something like that?
Oh yeah, I mean I've written songs that from those camps.
Really?
Yeah.
What are because I've talked to BB about this, like these writing camps, but it's just a bunch of writers. There's no artist. It's just like is anyone recording? Like they're recording, but.
Well, you're talking about like most songwriters, were artists at one point.
Sure.
If they're not aspiring to currently do it.
Yeah.
So, you have a little bit of both of those things in the equation. You can have, like, I'm not currently trying to be in a boy band, but it doesn't mean I can't write for a boy band and go and do a thing.
What's the process? I always think about like the awkward moments. When you watch movies, they always edit out the awkward moments. Like, how did you get into the room? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean,
what was the high and by like? You know what I mean? So, like, what do you guys do during the day when you're not in the? How do you determine? Hey, we're all in Aspen, Colorado for the next 2 months.
Yeah, I did that.
Like,
I did Aspen.
When do you go to the studio? What if that person
I've
is
been
skiing?
to so many of these things. Well,
what if that person is skiing?
No, most of the people,
how does this work?
That's really funny. Most of the people who do camps are there for the purpose of creating music. Although I'll give you,
but like, when
I'll
do
give
they
you-
go
I'll
live?
give you some outlier
I'd
stories
feel like an
that-
asshole because if somebody went skiing, part of me would want to be like, "You schmuck, you're supposed to be here writing." But then part of me would be like, "You're supposed to be living."
I've seen all the things, right?
Yeah,
and it really depends on what it is. But
I need an adult to accompany me there and chaperone.
if you were to go to an island somewhere where that has a studio, like you are doing a mix of all of it. But you're doing it with each other. And so like you end up everyone skiing together, not on the island, that'd be weird. Right. But if you're at Aspen, like I've done one in Aspen, it was this beautiful home, and reality is like, it was like, okay, so from like 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like you go in that room with this person, you go in that room, and somebody's organizing it on some level.
Who is that organizer? Is that,
so it depends.
It's an executive or is it an artist?
It depends what that one was just like a group of people writing. So it was like, maybe it was the publisher or whoever was funding it. But if it was like, it all depends, man. You make up your own rules. But if it's an artist, we do writing camps here. We've got 3 rooms here. So I tend to curate like what kinds of people should be in this room, so that way Russ could walk in and be himself, and not be redundant. In that room. So like I'm trying to create sessions that are like that, and what I'm good at adapting because I can. If I have to do drums, I can do drums.
Sure.
And if I have to do, write lyrics and melodies, I can do that. So like you go into rooms and you are what you need to be there.
Yeah.
But those camps, man, they can be really inspiring because you show up and you're like, without name dropping a bunch of people, and I can later, but like you're in these rooms, you're like, these are Hall of Famers. And I'm not going to show up here and just be like, if you're there long enough, you will run out of your ideas.
I would love to do that. It's
an achievable goal.
Here's an issue I have.
Okay.
I don't like waiting on people from a funding perspective. I have money. But the issue with that is if I'm funding it, now I care about things that I don't want to be caring about as a creative. See what I'm saying? Like, even from a movie perspective, right? Like talking with like directors and whatever, it's like, yeah, I could put up whatever it is, $2 million, and let's go make the movie.
Well,
but if I put up the $2 million, now I want to see every take.
Yeah,
and now I'm going to be looking at it. You know what I mean?
Camps don't cost that much.
Well, I know, but like,
also like depending on
what
depends what it is. Depends what it's for. If it's for an artist, then the expectation is the artist is paying for it. If it's for everyone to write together, then everyone's paying for it, or whoever has the studios like funding
you tell me how to do this.
There are no rules.
What I would want to do is I don't even know how to do that actually. Get one house, bunch of songwriters in it. I'm at a hotel nearby. I show up, bounce around rooms. And that's like a month.
Yeah, that's basically, that works.
How does everyone get paid?
Well, this is why songwriters shouldn't have their publishing pillaged, because they don't get.
I would be paying people like,
but you don't have
showed up.
That's nice of you.
That's crazy. So they're just showing up, hoping they get a placement, and then they'll get paid. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
This is our issue, man.
No, I wouldn't do that.
This is why
songwriters, if you want to get paid for just showing up, come fuck with me. Yeah, no, that's
a huge difference. If you're a guy who's going to advocate for songwriters to get fees up front or to show up, you will get every big writer there.
Oh, bro, that
doesn't happen, man.
I wouldn't even entertain not doing that.
Yeah, now, that doesn't happen.
As I think about it, do you think that would not incentivize people? Like, would the songwriters all of a sudden be like,
no,
because are they working a crazy sort of work rate because they're like, I know I'm not going to get paid unless I make a song?
Where most songwriters that you know of by name are the guys who are playing in the NBA who
would play for free.
Who would play for free.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue is that because songwriters are willing to write for free, they do.
Yeah. See, I personally, I would just feel bad if I had a bunch of people out there for a month and like you didn't pay him.
You should talk to every record label that exists.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the problem is that if they pay, if they pay songwriters, they expect the work for hire aspect. And no songwriter in their right mind should ever sell their publishing to a record label for nothing. So
what's an appropriate fee for a songwriter for a month?
Who's the songwriter?
Hall of Famer.
You could probably. I mean,
I want. How many writers do you
I really
recommend?
want to negotiate on behalf of all songwriters because the short answer should be you should give them $100,000 to show up for a month, but that's not realistic.
How many songwriters is a good size camp where it's not too many? Like, what do you think the sweet spot is?
I think you should have per room no more than 4 people, including yourself.
Shit. And all 4 are songwriters. That's a lot.
Oh, no. I'm talking about people who are creating the beat together, so therefore the beat maker can be a songwriter. You could have...
I'm talking about strict lyric melody. Okay. How many lyric melody writers
we're talking,
for a sweet spot?
Here's Russ, a generational producer who can provide the beats that people are going to write to.
Yes.
And then you are essentially bringing on people for half the copyright because you're showing up with the beat. You're not doing the beat afterwards or in the room, but you're showing up with the beat beforehand. We're all writing to it.
Yeah.
You could probably have 2 writers per room.
And how many rooms do you think? 3? 4?
You have as many as you want, but I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, because sometimes
I don't think you really want more than you can handle. And I would say like when we do... maybe I'm biased because we have a studio with 3 studios, so it's like,
feels like a good amount
to like walk in each room and be able to say to each room, like, I think we can beat the concept here, then go to the next one.
3 rooms, 2 writers. So 6 writers, if you wanted to pay them for their time for the month, what do you recommend? So that I don't offend.
Hall of Famers?
Yeah, so I don't offend.
I think you could, for a whole month.
Yeah. Is that a long writing camp?
That's a long ass writing camp. You can just do a week. 2 weeks.
Really?
2 weeks you'd be done with the album.
Okay, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, you could probably pay everyone $100,000 if you have the same writers every day too.
Yeah.
If you want them to really dive in and be emotionally committed. Let's go with $100,000 each, and you'll have the best writers. And they will.
Those same people that would want or would take $100,000, they would do it for free. Well, the Hall of Fame writers would do it for free.
I mean, maybe if it's
from free to 100 grand feels like a huge window.
Michael Jackson showed
like
us up again.
Crazy.
No, I don't know, man. I'm in my head. I'm thinking Hall of Famers like
maybe free is a good idea.
You're asking if you're gonna. It depends who you're asking, man. I mean, like, and the reality is like if you show up and say, "All right, I want to do a writing camp with these 6 writers." And we are doing the whole album these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you're going to end up with, let's say 10 times. So you're going to have 30 tracks in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or at least, if not more than that.
I want to go make the album that 12-year-old me would have loved, which is just like straight acoustic singer-songwriter, fucking just pop punk melodies. And maybe I'll rap on the verses sometimes,
That's a plausible scenario. I don't think that you necessarily need to do it. I'm just saying writing camps can cost.
I want to do it.
Writing camps could be free. It all depends on what you want. And like you could, if you went to BB who you're close with and you're like, hey Ross, come and do this, and be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Like you just would figure it out. And
I'm frivolous with money. Like I send people stupid amounts just for pulling up.
But that's why people want to keep writing with you.
Probably.
It's because you're taking care of them.
We don't like you, but that money's fucking great.
If you think that there's not an element of loyalty that happens when somebody's willing to like, that means that you are taking care of their family too.
Yeah.
Like there are producers that I work with on different spectrums of the success level that pay me part of their production fee as a like, thanks for this, for that.
Yeah.
And then there's some that are like, never pay the production fee. The ones who
Yeah.
never pay the production fee often don't ask for publishing, by the way, because they understand that rule.
Got it.
So there's like a little bit of that both. And if it's this world of like,
so a 2-week writing camp, you get 30 songs? Like you can get 30 songs in 2 weeks.
if we structure it right, yeah.
Damn. Bro.
Because you're talking about like, 5 days a week, 3 rooms going. If you have people who are cracking the whip, you should be able to do that.
Who would you say are the Hall of Fame writers? Give me 6 Hall of Famers.
I mean, I can just look at our last season.
Yeah.
Like, in our last season, top liners.
Jared, write these down. For real.
If you look at the last 2 seasons, just pure top liners, I mean, some are kind of mixed. So like Abellion's kind of mixed, and Amy Allen is probably on there. I know Steph Jones has been on. Ashley Gorley's been on. Ashley just had his like 90th number 1 at country.
90th?
Something like that. He's like Michael Jordan of, he's like on a different level.
90?
Yeah. He's been on this podcast 3 times and it's already dated because it's insane. Also a sweet person. But I'm trying to think of like other top liners that we've had. I'm just blanking out. It's not difficult for me to come up with a list.
That's fucking nuts, bro.
But like if you just look right now, it's like there's certain people who are really consistent, But again, that may not. All those people may or may not be right to have in your camp.
Sure. Sure.
I think the gist is that what you should do is find people who like. There are scenarios. Joe has wrote, smashes at a camp where they didn't care that there were 6, 7, 8 writers on a song. That was their vibe. But they would just hang out and do that. That's what the Julian Bonetta, John Ryan camps are with Teddy Swims and Mickey Echo, who's a great writer you could have on. Like a bunch of these people who show up who are like having a fucking blast, and then they write hits together.
Yeah. Damn, I didn't even know like this fucking world existed, bro. I'm just sitting in my fucking basement.
But that's tough,
cranking
man.
Shit out. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know what you get out of that?
People are fucking employing the Avengers to like.
But
it's like no wonder you're catching hits, dog. Like I could do that in my sleep too. What the
yes,
fuck? Like Jesus. But wow.
But you know what you're doing?
That's fun though.
You know what you have? 100% songs.
Yeah.
You know what those guys don't have? 100% songs.
Yeah.
Most of those people can write 100% song
if they want
and may have had 100% songs out.
Yeah.
Like I've had 100% songs out.
I'd love to
for
do
other
that,
artists.
man, because it's like collaboration is just fun.
It's just fun.
It's fun. And for me, I would be like, I am one of those people. I don't care if 20 of us wrote the hook on this. Like, I don't care about the splits of that.
Right,
I'm not going to be
in that case,
I'm the label and I don't give a fuck.
So this is how the camp would work for you.
Yeah.
If I'm just spitballing on what the camp would be.
Tell me.
You'd have 3 rooms going. Everyone would do a very structured write, right?
Okay.
Everyone would just be writing. You'd walk in. You'd be like, I like this. I don't like this. I think we could beat this. Why don't we try a different beat? Let's do that. Keep going. You'd be in each room and you'd catch some stuff. You're like, I want to work on this one tonight or this one tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'd probably need that 3rd week just to finish it.
Sure.
You'd be running in and out. And I can promise you that the 2 or 3 of the songs are going to happen when everyone eats dinner at 6:30 or 7 o'clock or whatever. And it's going to be like 8:30, everyone's done eating and someone's like, everyone's cracked open that bottle of 1942. Somebody's like, let's go into that studio and just kind of see what happens.
I'm about to push tour. Like, I want to do this so bad.
And it becomes a thing
this is so fun.
But this is the collaboration thing. That's why I think it's important for 100%ers to experience collaboration.
Yes.
Why it's also important for people who only collaborate to try to write a song by themselves.
Yeah. And I think I've done it that way for so long that's why collaboration is just so attractive to me now.
And you should look at that as the next album that you release to be like, I did this one with as many friends that I wanted to bring for this 2 weeks. And we did this whole thing in 2 weeks and it becomes part of the story. And somebody who can release music quickly, you just roll with it.
Yeah.
And you do it. And then you go, and after that, you're like, I want to do a 100% album.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you say, I want to do collaboration. And do different collabs. Like, let's find other people.
Here's the thing, though, that I did notice that you were saying, it made me think of this. When I look at my top songs, this is when like my business brain starts doing too much, but it's like fair. when I look at my top songs, the majority are the ones that are 100%. So I have this theory, and it's like proven by that as much as I love collaboration, I don't think my fans like it. You know what I mean?
Also, the more
it's
writers,
like they can almost feel that this wasn't 100% you. And so we don't, it's cool. But like, granted, Best on Earth, big song for me. But that's like an exception to this rule. Everything else is like, all my biggest shit is just me. All of it.
I think that when you write with fewer people, the song tends to be more unique. Because if you're going to have multiple people have opinions on the song, it's going to become more homogenized, and it'll probably be something that multiple people think is cool versus two people. Now, you're also more likely to write a piece of shit by yourself.
Yes.
Because you
no
don't necessarily,
you
may not have somebody being like, you can beat that, you can beat that, you can beat that.
Yeah.
Versus like collaborating, you get through songs quicker.
Yeah.
But again, part of it can be the ownership of this was one that I wanted to do with friends because I didn't want to do it alone. This is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let it be the
that's the story. That's the narrative.
In theater, there's the story that's on stage and there's the story of the story, like how the show is made.
Wow. Yeah.
Both those things almost have equal balance in the lore of theater.
Wow.
You know? So like how an album is made and what's on the album are both valid when you're doing multiple, when you're doing this press tour.
Wow. I want to do that ASAP, man.
So collaborating with two people from Australia is part of the story.
It is, for sure. Yeah.
All right, last thing. I'm going to just name 5 things. I just want to hear what comes off the top of your head. Your mom.
I love her.
Your dad.
Love him.
Jonica.
Love her. You going to name my dogs?
I don't know your dogs, but okay, we'll go with your dogs.
Chloe and Otto. Chloe changed my life. I'm about to go into a whole fucking monologue. You guys ready? No, my Frenchie, like that was the first time I really had to be responsible for someone else's life, and it seems dramatic, but if you have a dog, like you get it. If you don't have kids and you have a dog, it was just, oh shit, I really like this living, breathing thing relies on me for food and shelter and all that. And it was just, I feel like that is getting her was the first step in almost like adulthood in a sense. You know what I mean? Like actually having to be responsible for someone else outside of myself. I don't know. It was a big thing for me.
Russ, the artist.
It's my favorite artist. Yeah. And that was an epiphany I had the other day, man. I was like, I was in the shower and I'm playing the album from top to bottom. And I hadn't heard it because I try not to like listen to, because I don't want to overplay it, but I'm listening to it. And I had that like rare moment we get as artists where like you can hear your shit from like a fan's perspective as if you don't know what's coming next. And I'm like, man, this guy fucking checks all the boxes for me. Like the beats are super hard. The rapping is great, but then he does melody and the melody's cool. And there's real shit he's talking about. And he's making all the choices I would make if I was the, you know what I mean? I'm just like, man, I became my favorite artist. So that's a win for me.
There aren't a lot of people who are, thank you for doing this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
There aren't a lot of people who are, a lot of people aspire to do a lot of things. There's a neon sign on that wall that says geniuses finish things.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of authors, actors, label executives, publishers, beat makers, lyricists, melody writers, let alone all those things. I can't be like, I can't feel happiness for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I can acknowledge that what you're doing is achieving the process.
Wow.
Like you're doing the things.
Yeah.
You're not aspiring to do all those things. You're doing the things.
Yeah.
that's why that is happiness to me.
Yeah, that's real. Just doing it.
Because you're gonna, if you look at the success of things, like, come on, it's
arbitrary.
The first thing that people who've had success realize is like there's an element of, it's arbitrary, it's luck, it's because you put in the effort, you do the things, but the process of completing these objectives, and going for them, that's happiness.
I think that's my best attribute, though, is just thinking I can do things. I think I've gotten really far off of just delusion. Just like, yeah, I could do that. And it's almost like, it's not even a arrogance. It's just, I think no matter how many doubts I've had throughout my life or whatever, I still always think I can do something, like whatever it is. And I think moving off of that charge of just feeling like, I think I can do it. Why can't I do that? Why can't I write a book? Why can't I act? Why can't I, that's like enough to get you going. And then, like you're saying, once you start going and start doing it, you realize you can do it. Like you're doing it, writing a book seemed like a lofty, absurd goal, but it's like, why not? It's just a bunch of tweets compiled into a book, like in a more like digestible, you know what I mean? Like that's how I was looking at it. Like just ramble, but type it out.
Yeah, well,
what I mean?
Your fans,
I don't know.
Your fans aren't just fans of you as like, as a musician. They're fans of the person who's able to achieve all that stuff and to do all those things. So keep doing those things, man.
I'm trying. We're done already? That's it?
Well, till the next time.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
Let's keep going.
Absolutely.
There you go. We hope you enjoyed this episode. It was produced by me and Joe London in association with Mega House Music Group. If you like this episode, go give us a rating at wherever you listen to your podcast, and make sure to follow us at And the Writer Is on all your socials. We'll see you next week.